In this video, we're going to learn how to place ceilings in our reflected ceiling plane views. To do this, of course, we need to be inside of a reflected ceiling plan. Make sure that underneath the project browser that you're currently underneath level 1 ceiling plans. Probably the most common mistake is if someone tries to place a ceiling and they do it inside of a floor plan by accident. Because initially, they look almost identical. Well, if you try to do that, it will place the ceiling in, but you won't be able to see it. What happens is it'll show up on the reflected ceiling plan because in the ceiling plan, you're looking up, but the reason why you can't see it in the floor plan views is because in floor plan views, you're looking down. So always place your ceilings initially inside of a ceiling plan view. Now, we're going to place a ceiling inside of this office area between A and B. To do that, we need to come underneath the Architecture tab and select on Ceiling. When we do, we need to look underneath Properties to see which type of ceiling it's going to place inside of the space. In this case, it's a 2x4 ACT acoustical tile system ceiling. Also, we can see the height, and in this case, it's 8 foot. So if we place it in here currently, it'll be 8 foot off of level 1, or 8 foot off of the ground. In this case, I'd like it to be at least a little bit higher than 8 foot off of the ground. So I'm going to type in 9 foot, and we'll have a 9-foot ceiling inside of this office space. Now, if you move your cursor into this area, you'll see a red line showing up around the office walls. This is a good thing. This is where it's going to try to place the ceiling into. Up here, you'll see this says Automatic Ceiling. What's actually going on here is that it's finding where those outside walls are at, and it's automatically placing this ceiling inside of this space. So it's making this decision for you. Do you want to place it inside of this space, or inside of this space, or inside of this space? In this case, yes, we want to place it inside of the office area, and by just clicking, we've now placed a 9-foot elevation acoustical tile system inside of the room. Now I'm going to do the same thing, except over in these two spaces here. But these are going to be restrooms, and frankly, I don't really want to have ACT inside of my restrooms. I want a different kind of material. So I'm going to pick this gypboard material, the GWB on metal stud. And I'm going to change the height offset from being 9 foot to 8 foot 6. So we'll have a little bit lower ceilings inside of here. Now just click to place and do one more time over in the next restroom. Initially, it looks like nothing has happened, but that's because in REVIT, by default, and this can be changed, the gypboard ceilings don't have a pattern associated with them. Now it can be assigned any pattern that you want it to have, so it looks like a bunch of little dots or maybe triangles or something along those lines. But that being said though, in order to see if these ceilings actually were placed, one trick is to move down here, highlight over Visual Style, and then change the visual style to be shaded. When you do, you should see this get a lot darker where that ceiling is going to be placed at. As a result of this, you know that you're going to have ceiling inside of both of those spaces. Next, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to select on yet a different type of ceiling. I could do the generic, or in this case, I think I'm just going to pick on this 2x2 ACT system. And I'd really like to place it inside of this room, but I can see that I'm going to have a problem. I only want it inside of this space right here, not have it fill up this entire space out here. So to accomplish that, I'm going to have to sketch my ceiling in. So I'm going to come up here to Sketch and select on Sketch. Then I'm going to pick my Draw tools and use my line work to draw around where I want the boundary for my ceiling to be. One quick tip, if you move over here, just highlight over the intersection and move out, you'll get this dashed line. When you do that, you know that you're straight across from that wall. Move across, click, come back up, and click again. Now at the 8 foot 6 height, I'm going to have this 2x2 tile put in here, and click the big green check mark to finish that off. I'm going to click out here in the white area, and now we can see we have ceiling in each of these spots. Now I'd like to go through the same process one more time, except in this case, I'm going to put a ceiling in this spot here, and I do want it to be gypboard again. Going to do one more ceiling. Going to choose the GWB, the gypsum wallboard ceiling. And one thing of interest, you can see if I click right now, it's going to put a ceiling right into this space. The problem is it'll try to cover up this ceiling here. But really I have one of two different options. I can either use sketch ceiling and take the time to pick each and every one of these walls, Or, to speed things up, choose the automatic ceiling, accept this height offset. 8'6" sounds good to me right now. Click right inside of the space. We can see this is all turned gray. But even though this pattern hasn't changed, I can tell you that there's actually 2 ceilings inside of this space. I'm going to hit escape right now. Now I'm going to put my mouse over the edge of where I know a corner of the ceiling is at. And I'm going to select on the tab key to try to select my different ceilings. Now in this case, actually my ceiling is coming in here, so I need to pick a different edge. I'm going to pick the edge right here. I'm going to click the tab key until just that ceiling highlights. And you can see that in the lower left-hand side of the screen, it'll say ceilings, compound ceilings on the gray bar going across the bottom. When you click, it'll highlight. You can then do an edit boundary to this. And at this point, it gets easy. Because all you need to do is use your draw tools, pick a line, and draw one line over. Hit escape a couple of times. Highlight on each of these lines. Click the delete key to get rid of these extra lines. And with this final line, you can select on it, click the dot, and pull it straight down, and click the big green check mark whenever you're done. When you do that, you'll then have a ceiling just in those areas. And even though that seemed like it was a lot of clicks, it was a lot less than clicking each and every spot going all the way around the room until you went all the way around in a circle. Now we have a ceiling in each of these areas. And we'll be able to see that, particularly over here, if we double click on this circular area here, which is a section going through our space. This is a section. I'm going to click right here on the visual styles and turn this to shaded. And here's that ceiling, and here's the floor up above, and we can see the space in between those areas. And we can see that ceiling going all the way across in our building.